Mr. Eggplant presents.
Hey guys, Tyler here, and thank you for checking out this video. And we're back here on the War Within beta, and this time I'm going to talk about my initial thoughts on our tier gear, so our tier set, our 2 and our 4 piece. So first off, I really love the Mog. It's a very solid piece. I really like those shoulders. I'll definitely be using this pauldron over here on my Torn, and I really think that these look even better the bigger your shoulders are. That's usually not the case. So the actual set itself, the Mog, choice. So alright, so let's go ahead and talk about that tier set. So the first one's pretty vanilla, pretty standard, particularly for the first tier of an expansion. So Arcane Shot and Multishot's damage is increased by 20%. So I could have seen that to be 10%, and it might get tuned at some point, but 20% is a fair bit just for having your 2 set. And the thing is, you're going to be casting your Multishot a lot because you can read the 4 set there, which we'll talk about in a second, but you're just going to be prioritizing Multishot or Arcane Shot, excuse me, a lot more than you would in the past, particularly in Season 3 and Season 4, where you don't cast it nearly as much. In fact, that's one of the biggest things that I've struggled with in the beta so far, is the fact that I need to prioritize those abilities, and I hadn't been since I've been learning some bad habits in Season 3 and Season 4. That always tends to happen at the end of expansions, particularly if they have meme seasons over the last 2 expansions. So, your Arcane Shot and your Multi-Shot are going to be a bigger part of your damage, but, there we go. So, Multi-Shot's, at least in the current AoE build, that's what I'm using here on the screen. Thanks to Crack Shot, they're not the same focus cost, so Multi-Shot is actually cheaper. But this is what's crazy, so let me go bring this down here real quick. So, Arcane Shot, the single target ability does 112k. And then where's it at here? The Multi-Shot does 145k on single target. That is absolutely crazy. So both of those are definitely getting a boost thanks to our tier set. But back to the tree. That's just insane to me that even in single target, Multi-Shot will do more damage, and that's mostly thanks to Small Game Hunter down here. Unfortunately, I do think that this ability will see some tuning because Blizzard is not going to like that. They're not going to want you to use Multi-Shot if you're in a single target situation. Unfortunately, that is what it is. You're going to not cast Arcane Shot once in Mythic Plus. You're like literally, if you are running an AoE build, you're not gonna use your Arcane Shot once. You might as well take it off the bar. The only boost it does have is that it does arcane damage, and that gets boosted on some of the weeks in Mythic Plus. But again, you're probably still going to be running with your Multi-Shot. So Small Game Hunter will most likely see a little bit of a nerf, or a tuning, I should say. Don't really want to call it a nerf just yet. But Bulletstorm is also going to be increasing that damage even more. In fact, Multi-Shot has been my #1 damage in most of my keys. This is just a single boss. This was the last boss in the revamped Grim Batol, and there's a lot of ads on there, so Multi-Shot is actually not as high as it would be because I had all those trick shots that were going out on the ads in between the tendril phases or the circle phases, or actually no, it was right after the circles, that the enclosing shadows. So overall, the 2 set perfectly fine, and that's basically because the 4 set, I in my opinion, isn't very good. But consuming precise shots increases the damage of your next aim shot by 10%, and that stacks up to 2 times. And that is something that you can use a weak aura to track. So, there was already a problem, but they've already fixed it. So I'll talk about what I thought the problem was and how their answer to fix it, Blizzard's answer, and then if I think it's enough. So, consuming precise shots increases the damage of your next aim shot by 10%, stacking up to 2 times. There's a couple of caveats here. So, precise shots used to be 1 or 2 free, or not free, but empowered shots after you use an aim shot. Now it's always 2, so that's good. They're going to do 70% more damage and cost 50% less focus. So you really do want to use those precise shots. So every time you use an aim shot, you want to go multi-shot, multi-shot, or arcane shot, arcane shot. Well, that does pose a problem during Trueshot when we're doing, our most damage possible. So they've already put an implementation into the game with Eagletalon's True Focus and added an extra little bit there. So Trueshot lasts an additional 3 seconds, reduces the focus cost of aim shot by 50%, and causes your next arcane shot, chimera shot, or multi-shot, so they covered their bases, to be cast again at 30% effectiveness. So what that means is that you go multi-shot, and even single target AoE doesn't matter. In AoE, it feels just fine because you're getting your trick shots. Great. But in single target, it doesn't. It feels kind of weird, at least in a Trueshot window. So you'll cast your aim shot, and then you'll use one multi-shot, one chimera shot, or one arcane shot, and it will use both of them. Now that second one is only at 30% effectiveness, but when you have your biggest burst window possible, you're not constantly wasting focus on a multi-shot or an arcane shot to get the most out of your tier, but also, or precise shots for that matter, but also you are just getting more GCDs to use on your big abilities, while still getting the advantage of using your tier. So, it's fine in AoE, and actually it feels really good because we don't have the luxury of extending our Trueshot, or our volley like we do in Season 3 and Season 4 of Dragonflight. I'm going to have to really get back to weaving in those multi-shots. I know I screwed up a bunch in the keys that I tested this weekend, but you're going to want to do aim shot, and then follow up every aim shot with an arcane shot or a multi-shot, and then that will cause the next aim shot that you cast to do up to 20% more damage. So it should be 20% every time, because at least during Trueshot, I should say, where you're going to be hitting just 20% harder, because it's going to automatically use both stacks of precise shots. Even though it's not doing as much damage, it's still saving you the GCD when you need it most, which is during your Trueshot. So that was kind of my thoughts on it right now. That's a good change. It's a really nice quality of life change. It does, quote, lower the damage just a little bit because that second precise shot isn't hitting as hard, but it only matters when you need it to, and so that's a really good change. I don't think that these sets will probably see they'll see some tuning. They might raise the damage of your 4 set, because I feel like the 4 set's pretty lacking, particularly since multi-shot and rapid fire already do so much damage in your kit. Like, they both, most of the time. This one is kind of a bad example, I guess. But multi-shot and rapid fire, they tend to be number 1 and 2 for me, or flip those, and then aim shot being 3. Now there's still like those 3 and then everything else, but you got some good Lunar Storm and Arsenal damage, and Sentinel damage, I should say, on this one. But this was kind of a little bit of an AoE pull as well. But what do you guys think? Do you like this tier set? Are you fine with the 2 set? Would you like to see the 4 set a little bit beefier? That's kind of my takeaway, is that I would, if they're going to keep them the same, which I appreciate the Eagletalon's True Focus change, if they're going to keep it the same, I do think they need to boost the damage a little bit of the 4 set, because I do feel like the 4 set is lacking in comparison to our 2 set. But that is, again, with multi-shot being tuned really, really high right now, and that small game hunter being tuned pretty high as well. But what do you guys think? Leave me a comment down below. I always appreciate chatting with you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for checking out my beta videos. I'll have a bunch more out. Got some dungeon kind of, not really a walkthrough, but some dungeon conversations about what my thoughts were on my Marksman Hunter over doing keys this last weekend. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.